Hello, thanks for coming back to this series. My name is Isaac Schultz of the Houston Symphony. We're talking about the TMEA All-State Bassoon Etudes for this year, and this is going to be the video on Etude number 17. So this is a pretty daunting etude. It's long, it's slow, it's involved, it's hard in tempo, it's hard in intonation, it's hard in technique, it is hard in all of the ways. It's a very challenging etude. So how do we deal with it? So obviously there's going to be rubato quite a lot through this etude. It's hard to look at the first phrase and argue that there wouldn't be, otherwise you would get a phrase ending in measure 4 that sounds something like this. Which is not super great. So you should have rubato, and if you think about something like that, the answer is not to adjust your tempo so slow that will come out. It's to add rubato and give some weight to the triplet. You'll hear it in the performance, but it should sound like. And then you're back in tempo after that. So throughout, you do want to also look for places where you have certain notes that are really impacting the harmony and then trying to bring those out. I've highlighted measure 28. We have a descending line. This is in the middle section. E flat, D, C, and then F to F sharp to G, and those are the big beats. So yeah. So that's something that can be kind of interpretively grounding, and you would like to go kind of throughout this piece and see like which notes are really impacting the harmony and which notes are the most important, and then trying to base your interpretation off of those. In terms of tempo for the middle section, some editions have it marked as exactly quarter note equals eighth note in that section. Other editions have it just marked as like dolce. For me, I think that the difference in notation in this section, combined with how it's obviously notated and barred in such a way that it's really in 3, might argue for a more flowing tempo here. And so where the bulk of the adagio sections of this etude should be felt in 3, but are like in quasi 3/6, this should be kind of solidly in 3. So I do go a tiny bit faster in that section, and it's not a huge difference. My tempo for the adagio is about quarter note equals 72, and my tempo for the middle section is eighth note equals 88. And both of those kind of should be felt in 3 rather than in 6, but you'll want to be doing metronomic practice with throughout this etude with your metronome set to 3 as well as 6. So a couple of fingerings that might be helpful here. In measure 13, we have. So what I'm doing to get that G to C down slur is kind of a down slurring flick. So we have normal G fingering, and what you want to do is you want to pick up the first finger of your left hand and then put it down as you are transitioning from the note to the second note. And that will, this is a technique to practice, but that will help like go over the break, and so you'll actually be able to blow into it. And then make sure that you're keeping your air up so that you are able to go through there. And then lastly, if we're talking about how to really extend these phrases, it's really important because in this etude we kind of have relatively delineated phrase lengths. Like we start with a 4-bar phrase, and it's obvious like the phrases have breaths after them. So it is important to keep your air up throughout the entire phrase and to try to make your phrases as long as possible. And it's also really important to look at the way that you're ending notes. Like in measure 9, we have so with that B, you don't want to do. You want to make a nice expressive ending, and the way you do that is by kind of, as you're putting less air through your instrument to make the diminuendo and the taper, you want to also move the reed out of your mouth, kind of like you're starting a manual shift car and going like this, and it should be a gradual process. So this is something that you would practice with a tuner and make sure that you're able to technically do it without having the intonation change. But it's really important, especially in this etude, out of all the three, to have your note endings be really beautiful and really expressive. So I'll also, I'm about to share my performance of this etude. Thanks for listening, and please tune in for the next one.
Thank you.